Hello everyone. So thank you for watching today. First of all, a couple things before we get started too much. I need to apologize because I kind of messed everything up this week. I had a couple of appointments which pushed my Facebook Live regular time out of whack, and then I got sick and I totally forgot that I have to go into work tomorrow morning. So the live that I had planned to do in the morning, I am pre-recording tonight. So I'm coming to you Wednesday night, but it will be Thursday morning when you see me. All right, so I am doing a card this morning using another Celebration set called In the Country. This is the first time I've used this one, so I liked it, but I've been a little bit not sure what to do with it. So I think I figured something out, so we're gonna go with that for today. All right, so I'm gonna go with the bottom stamp here, the kind of country scene. And I've done a little bit of pre-work here, but I started out with a crumb cake base, so standard base 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I've got a piece of old olive, and this one is 3 7/8 by 2 5/8. A piece of watercolor paper that is 3 3/4 by 2 1/2, and then another 1/2 inch wide scrap of the watercolor paper. And then I've gone ahead and embossed this one already with I believe it's called the brick and mortar embossing folder, and it is my usual matte size, so 5 1/4 by 4. All right, so we're going to start with those pieces. I'm going to put those aside for a minute. So this one, what I did, I'm just going to bring, I should get a clean piece of scrap, but I don't have one, so I'm going to use this one. So sorry if it's a little distracting. And I'm going to grab my soft suede ink. So again, this was a soft suede cardstock. So I'm grabbing this and my blending brush. And I'm just going to blend a little bit of kind of tone on tone just to give the bricks even more dimension, which you don't have to do, but I thought I would give it a shot. And sorry if this is wiggling the camera. And because I'm not doing this as a Facebook Live, all the kind of video prep that I usually do is a little bit different, because I'm not videoing through Facebook, I'm just videoing on my phone. So hopefully it lasts long enough. There we go. And that's why I went ahead and pre-did a couple of the things, because I don't want it to be super long video, because I don't know how long it will hold up. All right, so that's done. So that's going to be my matte. I think I can put the blending brush away now. And then the other thing that I did ahead of time is I went ahead and did the stamping on the watercolor paper, and I used Stays On ink. All right, and the reason that I went ahead and did the stamping was because my Stays On is a little light, so I had to stamp it several times, and I didn't want to have to do that on camera. I need to get some re-inker for the Stays On, and I don't have any of that, so that is one of my next purchases, will be Stays On re-inker. All right, so I've got that stamped, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few different colors of ink, and if you take our ink pads and squeeze them kind of in the middle, you can get a little bit of ink on the lid. So if you want a watercolor, I'm using I think they're called watercolor painters or watercolor pens. Anyways, they are just a paintbrush, and this part here you can fill with water. So I like to use those. You could just use a regular paintbrush and just a glass of water, but I have these, so I use them. So I'm starting with Garden Green, and I'm going to do all of and I did a little bit of this one already. I'm going to do all of the trees that aren't evergreen trees, and just give them a quick color. And again, you don't have to be perfect with this one. And I will sometimes refer back to the stamp case just to make sure I'm getting my ink in the right spot. There's some more over here. And then you can go over and make it darker or lighter, whatever you like on that. All right, and then I'm gonna bring back my scrap paper. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna bring out my little cloth instead. So scrap paper or a cloth, and then I'm just gonna kind of clean off the brush a little bit there. All right, I'm gonna pull out my Evening Evergreen ink, and I'm gonna use this for the evergreen trees. And you can see I'm just kind of really not being super specific how I'm doing this. I'm just kind of giving a touch of color over top because there is the black ink already on there. There we go. All right. Okay, and while I'm doing this, just a quick reminder for those of you that have been following, we are in our celebration right now, which means that we have a little brochure that has a few different items that you can get for free with a purchase. So here in Canada, it's a minimum $60 purchase. So $60 purchase from any of our catalogs. So we have a mini catalog right now. We have our annual catalog that's on. It can also be, I'm not sure if Paper Pumpkin works for this, but any of our kit collections do. And Paper Pumpkin might. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up again. I know I looked at it the other day, but I can't remember. And so any minimum $60 purchase, you get to pick a free item out of the brochure. And there's also been a few more that were released a couple of weeks ago. A few more items. So those are items that are in, I believe, they're either in the annual catalog or the mini. I think there's a couple of each. And they are also available right now as a celebration item. So I know there's a couple of stamp sets, there's some punches, there's some paper, designer paper. I think that's about it for that selection, but there's a little bit of everything. Some of the things in the brochure are now, because we're getting towards the end of the promotion, some of the things in the brochure are not available anymore. But I believe that the new items that were just put out are still available. They're, like I said, they're kind of regular catalog items right now. So I think most of those will still be available for a little while, at least. And this promotion goes on until the end of the month. So February 28th, I believe, is the last day. So it's a good chance to get your hands on some different items that won't be available after a bit. The ones that are in the brochure are exclusive to Celebration, so once it's over, they are done and they won't be available anymore. So that includes this stamp set right here. This is one of them. There are a couple of items. I mentioned the $60. There's a couple of items, including this one, that are $120 that you need to spend to get. But yeah, there's a few of each. Some are 60, some are 120. All right, what color do I want next? I'm going to go with, so I just used the Old Olive on the grass. And I'm going to go with now Crumb Cake for my road. I may bring that Old Olive out again because I forgot about this little bit of grass in the middle here. So I'm just quickly coloring that over. And again, you can go in and add some, darker spots wherever you think you need to. or you can go in with a little bit more water and lighten it up a bit if you want. I'm going to go back with the old olive before I get into my next color. Oops. I'm just going to go down the middle here with a little bit of olive. It's that grass that's grown between the tracks. There we go. All right, and then I have one more color, and then I can put everything together, I think. Not evergreen, it is my soft suede again. All right, so soft suede out. And I'm going to use this on the fence posts. There we go. I think that's good. All right. So you can see the image is pretty quick and easy to color. All right, now I'm going to take this piece and I'm just going to grab my adhesive. So again, my Tombow liquid adhesive I'm going to use for this. And I'm going to glue this onto my old olive mat. So that was the watercolor paper. And you could let it dry a little bit if you wanted as well, but I think we're okay here. I didn't get it super wet, so. And I'm just going to put that on, leaving just a little bit around the edges there. All right, and then that can go aside. I'm going to also grab my card base and just give it a fold so that it's ready to go. And then I'm going to stamp my greeting. So I've got my scrap out here, and I grabbed a greeting. I used the Celebrating You stamp set, and I grabbed the Just For You stamp, and I'm going to stamp that in soft suede. Get that inked up. Okay, hopefully you can see this. I know where my screen is showing up on the camera is a little bit different on here to when I do it on Facebook, but hopefully that showed up. But there it is, and yay, I got it straight. All right, and then I'm just going to trim. I'm actually going to trim just one edge of this with my angle cut here. And then the other edge, I'm going to go straight, hopefully. All right, those pieces can go away. All right, and then what I did is I took this, I'm just gonna clean up the edge a little bit there. I took this and just put it on the bottom, and I glued it on flat because I'm gonna pop this piece up on dimensionals. I didn't want too much height in the card. All right, so this is just, I'm just gonna put it in the corner of my white piece and I'll line it up on the side and on the bottom edge. So it's almost like the title of the painting or the signature on the painting or whatever, but there, just for you. All right, now I'm going to grab some, I've got some crumb cake baker's twine, and I think I had about 30 inches. And what I'm going to do with this, I'll get this out of the way, is I'm going to take my seal, Stampin' Seal adhesive, and I'm going to wrap this around the brick and mortar piece. All right, and I'm going to wrap it about 3 times, kind of right down the middle. All right, so I talked to you about this. All right, this is part 2. So my videos did stop partway through, so I'm going to try and talk you through the part that got missed and that I did and then glued down before I noticed that it had stopped. So I was at where I was going to wrap the baker's twine around the soft suede piece. So the crumb cake baker's twine, I wrapped around 3 times. I adhered it to the back using the Stampin' seal. So I just put a little bit of Stampin' seal on this side, wrapped it around, and then put a little bit more on the other side for the other end. Then I used my Tombow adhesive and glued this piece down onto my crumb cake base. All right, so I think that's mostly what we missed. I also was mentioning, I had talked about the celebration that's going on. What I also mentioned after the video stopped, was our clearance rack. So on Tuesday, Stampin' Up! Added a whole bunch of new items to the clearance rack. So these are mostly retired items, and they are always on the clearance rack. You can get there by going to my webpage, tracyfrith.stampinup.net, and clicking on the shop button or the shop with me button. And the clearance rack has everything that's on sale. So there's some really good prices. They've just put a bunch of stamp sets on there. So there's stamp sets, there's designer paper, there's embellishment ribbons. There's a lot of dies on there as well. So it's a great place to go and look and help build up your stash of paper crafting supplies if you'd like. So then I took my focal piece that I'd already put together. I think we saw that already. I put some dimensionals on the back, and once I've got my baker's twine, I just want to make sure that I don't have any dimensionals down the center here, because that's going to go right over top of the baker's twine. And I'm going to just mount that right onto there. And that is it for the card. So once again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for putting up with my crazy week this week. And I really appreciate anytime you watch, comment, share my videos. It really helps me with my business if you can do that. And hopefully next week it won't be as crazy. My plan is to be back on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. with my regular Facebook Live. All right, thanks again, and we'll see you next week.